Zhiyun has just announced the brand new Smooth 5S, which is this gimbal that we're using to record this shot here right now. We're gonna unbox it together, we're gonna compare it to its predecessor, we're also gonna test out the brand new AI feature, and in the end we're gonna find out if this is the perfect smartphone gimbal in 2024. So let's get going. Alrighty, so let's kick things off with an unboxing of the brand new Zhiyun Smooth 5S AI combo package. Let's see what you get inside of the box, and yeah, without any further ado, let's grab the unboxing knife and let's see what we get inside of the box. So first up, we have a little bit of a quick start guide. We're not gonna read that. Then we have a Zhiyun card, a service card, all that kind of good stuff, some more literature. We don't really need that. Let's get to the more fancy stuff. So this one is a mini table tripod, which I think is cool that they still include that. I like it when it's a solid add-on tripods that you can actually hold in your hand nicely and that it's not built in. I do like that. Then we have the gimbal itself. Let's see, this is what it looks like. Let's take a closer look at it so that you can see it. It does look familiar, to be honest. It might feel a bit more solid compared to the Smooth 5S, but I could be wrong. We're gonna take a closer look at all of the controls here in just a minute. We're gonna attach the mini table tripod on here just like this. Put that aside for the moment. Then we also have a USB Type A to USB Type C cable. That's it. And then we have one of the probably the biggest upgrade to the predecessor, and that is the Zhiyun AI tracker. This is what it looks like, and throughout this video we're gonna take a closer look at it. Can attach that magnetically here to the top. Yeah, we're gonna put that through its paces, and now let's move on. All right, so now let's take a closer look at the gimbal itself. Let's talk a little bit about all of the different knobs, about all of the different buttons that you have. I'm gonna walk you through everything there is, and yep, just so that afterwards you'll have a better understanding of where you can find everything and how things are working. So for now, you're basically seeing this live. I have not used the gimbal yet to record anything. Set it up together with you. At the back here, you have this little orange lock icon. Basically, just unlock that, then the gimbal is free. You can see this is one of the cool features that it has a free 360-degree spin range. And then there's another lock button right here. And we can also unlock that. And now we can set it up here on the table, and we could actually start balancing the gimbal right away. Before we're gonna do that, and before we're gonna, go more in depth into the Smooth 5S AI, let's compare it very briefly to the old Smooth 5. And if we take a closer look at this, you can see the overall setup of the button, like the layout and everything. To be honest, this is more or less completely identical. Also, when it comes to the modes, when it comes to the buttons on the side, like this is not like a major upgrade. This is not like this is night and day different and that it feels completely different. Also, when I said at the unboxing that this does feel a bit different and a bit more sturdy. To be honest, now after comparing it directly here to the Smooth 5S, to the predecessor, the old one, it does feel completely identical. Also, when it comes to the weight, this does feel, very solid. And don't get me wrong, like this is nothing, bad or something like this. The Smooth 5S has been my go-to gimbal for a very, very long time. Yep, to be honest, I like the footprint that it has. I like the size. It does feel very solid. It's not like super flimsy. Is this my go-to gimbal when it comes to traveling? Probably not. Like I said, it is a bit more sturdy and a bit more, hefty, but the quality and the results that you can get with this probably gonna be absolutely amazing, but we're gonna test this throughout this video. So let's check out the buttons here very briefly. So here you have the menu button. In case you're using the ZY Cami app, you can use that to navigate. When it comes to the other buttons, you have a display button, you have an ISO button, a play button. So generally speaking, like most of these buttons, they only make sense if you're also using their app, which as if you have been following the channel for a longer time, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Then we have the mode button there. We can switch between the different modes. We can start and stop the recording. We can pan around with that. There we have a focus wheel or a zoom wheel, depending on how we have programmed it. And at the back here, we have this button, which we can just press 2 times, and then the gimbal is gonna rebalance itself and recenter itself. But that is basically it. There is nothing like grand spanking new. At the top here, we have this magnetic AI tool that we can set up, but we're gonna talk more about that in depth in just a couple of minutes. So I would say now let's actually balance the gimbal. Let's make it work, and yeah, let's see how this goes. So when it comes to balancing the Zhiyun Smooth 5S AI, it is basically super simple. You need to make sure that this part of the gimbal is facing yourself and that you can read the Zhiyun logo, you know, when you're putting in your smartphone. And then here also you have this very tiny symbol. Not sure if you can see that, but that tells you where the camera of your smartphone has to face. And then all we need to do is, you know, clamp it in there. And then, you know, when it comes to balancing a smartphone gimbal, the goal is that the smartphone stays in its position without falling over. So as you can see, if I put it into the spot that I want it to have, it is falling over, so I'm just gonna place that down just a little bit. That is already better. Let's do it even a bit more. Something that is good, that it is not falling over to the left or to the right. So that actually does look pretty good. Then I make sure that I'm locking the back here. So you can see this knob right here. We're gonna lock that. And then it's actually pretty good to go. You can see that the gimbal is falling over, you know, a little bit, but I found in the past that this is not doing too much damage. So I'm just gonna turn it on for now, and let's see how that looks. And that is actually looking really, really good. At the beginning, if you're setting it up for the very first time, it's just going through all of the different modes. Let's see if the mode changing is working. So as you can see right here, we have pan follow, then we have the locked mode. That basically means that it stays in its position without, you know, moving into any direction at all. Then we have the follow mode, so it's basically following all of the movements. I'm just gonna show you the back button right here real quick. If I press that twice, then it's basically recalibrating itself. Then we have the POV mode, which now all of the axes are unlocked, so it's following me in any direction. And then we also have the vortex mode. Basically, I'm just using the joystick right here, and then I'm getting a full 360-degree spin, which is something that I absolutely love. And, you know, this is just a really, really cool feature. Now, if we press that one more time, now we're back into the pan follow mode. So now it's basically just panning and following that, but it's not tilting. So generally speaking, this is working really nice. And this has basically been a live demonstration. I've not used this gimbal before, so it's super simple to use, super intuitive, I would say. And yeah, now I would say let's actually get outdoors with this. Let's capture some shots and let's see how it actually works in day-to-day usage when we're actually shooting some footage using that setup. All right, so let me share with you how I personally like to use my Smooth 5S AI. And to be honest, that's also the way on how I like to use pretty much any smartphone gimbal. I personally am not the biggest fan of the gimbal apps that all of these gimbals come with, whether it's the ZY Cami app, the DJI Mimo, however they're called. The way on how I like to film is just using the native camera app, using a third-party app like the Blackmagic video app, or now also the Final Cut camera app. And you can still connect your smartphone to the gimbal. That's super simple. Just go into your Bluetooth settings and then it's gonna, you know, show up the Smooth 5S AI. Just tap on that. And then the really cool thing is I can still start and stop my recording using that button. And to be honest, for me personally, that's all I really need, because then, you know, I can change all of the different settings. I can dial in anything that I want and I can still start and stop my recording, you know, just like this. So that's my preferred way of shooting with a smartphone gimbal. All right, so what I wanted to show you now are two of my absolute favorite modes when it comes to filming with a gimbal. Obviously, you can create some super steady and perfectly smooth shots with just the follow mode, the lock mode, the pan follow mode. But I like to spice up the videos, especially music videos and, you know, some more creative videos with these two modes. And one of it is the POV mode. I'm just going to show you how that is looking right now. The cool thing is, as you can see, as I'm moving around, all of the axes are unlocked. So I could literally be doing, more or less anything. Last year, or maybe 2 years ago already, we filmed a music video for the launch of the predecessor to this gimbal, to the Smooth 5S. And there I have been, going all the time very close and going back and forth to the singer as he was singing, and this created some awesome looking shots. And now the last mode that I want to show you is the Vortex or Vertex, or however this is called. This is also a really cool mode where basically, this axis right here, you can spin it in full 360-degree spin. So I'm just gonna start my recording right here, and then all I gotta do is press that joystick, and I'm now just gonna move backwards. And as you can see, I now get a perfectly smooth Vortex 360-degree spin shot that is perfectly fine. And the cool thing is, since this is done, through a motor, this is perfectly smooth, and it's not like getting faster and slower. Like, this is the same speed all of the time. And that means you can also speed it up in the post-production, slow it down to get a very awesome looking shot. All right, so we have now been shooting pretty much all day long, and we captured some awesome shots, and the usability, the ease of use, it's just an absolute pleasure. And I noticed again, like, how much and why I love this gimbal so much, and why I also liked the predecessor so much. There is only one downside that I just don't quite understand why they're still using the same, the sign language. And that is this part of the gimbal right here. Because, I'm using an iPhone 15 Pro right now, but it would also be the same with a Samsung S24 Ultra, for example. Here at the bottom, there's the USB-C connector, and I need that to connect some awesome sounding audio as you're hearing it right now. The downside is, as you can see, this port is completely blocked. So that means there is pretty much no way on how I could actually, record some proper audio unless I'm syncing it up in the post-production, which I did for the opening shot of this video. It's not difficult, don't get me wrong, syncing up the audio from this Holly Landlark Max, for example, only takes like a minute or two, but the fact that I don't even get the opportunity when I'm landscape shooting to record some proper audio is a bit of a downside in my opinion. But other than that, this is pretty damn good. Alrighty, so the next feature that I want to show you is all about this AI tracking tool that Zhiyun is now providing with the Smooth 5S AI. We've seen similar setups in other gimbals before, and now I'm just gonna basically put this onto the gimbal, and we're just gonna try out like how good does the tracking of the Zhiyun Smooth 5S AI actually work. How good is it? Is it usable in day-to-day scenarios? And I'm also going to show you a couple of gestures and features on how you can actually use that setup. So the way and how this works is at the bottom here, it does have two magnets, and you can basically mount it at the bottom and at the top of this gimbal, and you can also face it towards yourself and also into the opposite direction. So the way and how you can activate the system is actually quite simple. You just look into this camera thing here at the top, and then you gotta do this hand gesture right here. And then it is already following me around. So I'm just gonna hit record here on the iPhone as well. And quick tip, in case you are shooting with your iPhone, just make sure that you bring down the exposure to just get a much more pleasing image. So if I'm moving around, you can see it is doing a pretty good job, I think. So no complaints there. It is doing it's doing a pretty good job. In case I want to stop the tracking, I can just do this hand gesture right here. It also worked right away without any problems. In case I want to reactivate it, I'm just going to do this hand gesture right here. And again, the green light here is indicating that it is working again. So that is also very nice. Another feature that I also really like with all of these systems is that you can also reframe your shot. I've not tried that before, so we're just going to do that now together. In theory, I would be doing, I'm just going to show you, I would be doing this hand gesture right here, and then I should be able to reposition myself. So let's see if that is working. Not in the first try. Let's try again. So that is not working for now. So when it comes to the reframing hand gesture, it is not working at the moment. Maybe it's because this is a pre-production unit, but theoretically this should be working. So yeah, with this hand gesture here, you can actually start and stop a recording. So I'm not quite sure why this repositioning thing and hand gesture is not working as of right now. Probably I'm doing something wrong. I just wanted to give you like an unfiltered review without me like overly producing it. Generally speaking, for regular usage, for regular tracking, it is working really nice. In case you're, doing a Facebook Live or something like this, it is working very nice. Just the reframing hand gesture is not working right now. Not sure why. And then let's stop it again. Stop it again. The stopping is not working super nice, so I feel like this could be a little bit better, but overall, maybe it's because I currently still have a pre-production unit, but overall the tracking itself, that is working, and they could also hard stop it just by, putting it into the opposite direction. All right, so let's come to the conclusion of the Zhiyun Smooth 5S AI. It has been a very fun day shooting with it. As you have noticed probably, it has been a great experience shooting with the gimbal. There are very many positive things, and there are only like a very few things that I personally still would love to change if I could, do a gimbal myself. So generally speaking, the most important thing when it comes to, shooting with any kind of 3-axis gimbal is the stability and the final shots that you can get with it. And this is absolutely top notch with the Smooth 5S AI. It has been fantastic with the Smooth 5, with the Smooth 5S, and now also with this one. So when it comes to the sheer, the steadiness, there are no micro jitters and all that kind of stuff. I think that is an absolutely brilliant gimbal when it comes to that. I also like the payload, that it just has a bit of a headroom when it comes to the payload. So you can easily use that with an S24 Ultra with a case, for example, no problem. Also in case you want to use like a light filter system or something, that is also no problem. The AI feature, as you have noticed throughout this demonstration, like the sheer tracking has been working really well. I'm sure it would have worked even better had I used their ZY-Cami app. I just don't like using all of these different apps. I just like using the native camera app. I like to use the Blackmagic video app. And now Apple recently also has just announced their brand new Final Cut video app. That is also fantastic. I like using them, but not so much the apps that come with the gimbals. That's just me personally. I always feel like the quality is not as good compared to the other apps. So the tracking, as I said before, it has been working pretty well. Just the reframing for some weird reason did not work. So I'm not quite sure what the issue was with that. And then there's basically one more thing that I personally wish Zhiyun would change with this gimbal, and that is like the overall design language. Like as I mentioned before, like I like using it. I like that you also get this proper table tripod and that you can really hold it nice and you have something in your hand. So all of that is really cool. The only thing that I personally don't like is this part of the gimbal right here. The issue with that is there is literally no space between the USB-C port from my iPhone or also from any Android phone basically to this part of the gimbal. So there is no space in between. So in case I wanted to use a professional audio source like the one that I'm using right now, there is no real nice way in how I could actually use that. There are some workarounds, and I did that in the past with the predecessors to this gimbal, where I'm just sliding that over to the left, and you could also try, then use some counterweights. There are workarounds, but it's just not designed perfectly well. I wish there was a space in between, so I'm just gonna, turn that off here for a second, like you have it in case you're shooting a landscape. As you can see, if I'm shooting vertically, then it is no problem. I can attach, a DJI mic or something to the bottom right here. But in case I'm shooting horizontally, I don't get that option, which is a bit of a downside. Again, like I said, there are many workarounds also with the newest wireless microphone systems. You also always can record internally, like the DJI mic, like the Holly Landlark Max. So there are workarounds. It's just not perfectly fine in my opinion. So I'm just going to show you real quick what this would look like if it would work. All right, so what I have in my hand right here, this is a receiver for a wireless microphone system, and I can just attach this here at the bottom to my gimbal. And as you can see, even in that setup, it's not perfectly fine because it's still like there's just a bit too little space, but now that is working. It is a bit limited, but at least it's working somehow. So that is something where I would wish to have a better solution for that. But other than that, I think this is an absolutely fantastic gimbal. And if you are in the market for a 3-axis smartphone gimbal right now, and I can definitely recommend that you check this one out. If you're searching for a more budget option, like I can also very much recommend that you check out the predecessor to this one in case you don't absolutely need the AI feature. I think the predecessor, even the Smooth 5, is an absolutely fantastic gimbal that I still to this day use very often. So yeah, in case you want to learn more about making great looking content using your smartphone, then you can check out the first link below that like button. We've just launched our brand new content Content Creator Foundations course, which is just $1. There I'm basically sharing with you my top tips when it comes to how you can record epic looking videos. I'm sharing with you the basics of video editing. I'm also showing you how you can land your first client just with a setup like this. You can literally make the amount of what this setup costs back in a month or two. And then I'm also showing you the basics of social media. So in case that's interesting for you, make sure you check out the first link below that like button. Also, huge thanks to Zhiyun for sending this gimbal my way early. And in case you have not seen the overview video of the brand new Final Cut video app, then check out this video over there.